Hey, this is Nick Fenton with TickerTank.com. I occasionally do a breadth analysis, whether it be a morning, mid-afternoon, end-of-day breadth analysis, and I've received a few questions as to how I go about doing this. Just looking for an explanation, a visual explanation of what I'm looking at. So I thought the best way to do that would be a video. So here we go. First thing that I do is I take a look at trend. Trend is the trader's index, and I'm using Thinkorswim here. In order to pull up a chart of trend, you simply put the $sign, TRIN. That pulls up your trend. This is the NYSE short-term trades index. So this is also known as the ARMS index. Basically, it's a judge of volume flow. Anything around 1, anywhere between 0.9 and 1.1. 1 is neutral, but anywhere in that little 0.9 to 1.1 range is pretty much neutral. Anything below 1 is considered bullish, meaning more volume is going into advancing stocks versus declining issues. And anything above 1 is considered bearish, meaning more volume going into declining issues than advancing issues. So beyond that, you can kind of look at the trending patterns and price movement within trend. So today was a bearish session. You can see early in the session it was in a neutral territory. We started around 1.2 range, faded down towards 0.8. So this downside momentum is actually bullish. So as we're moving into this bullish territory, downtrending and trend is indicating a consistently growing flow of volume into advancers versus decliners. Then you can see it kind of stabilized, sat neutral for a while, but then it really started to take off. And this can sometimes be a leading indicator towards price action in the market. Not every day, but there are some days where it's a leading indicator here in trend, where you'll start to see this uptrending price action here in trend, and then the major indices will follow suit. So this uptrending here, as it moves into bearish territory, it's not bearish just because it's above 1. It's also bearish because it's consistently trending to the upside. So it's, in essence, aggressively bearish, if you will, or double bearish in this situation where we're seeing an uptrend into bearish territory. So the uptrending just indicating consistent volume flow more and more into declining issues versus advancing issues. So we're seeing more and more volume go into decliners versus advancers. Maybe some volume pulling out of those previously advancing names, going into the declining territory. So this uptrending into bearish territory. Anytime you're seeing uptrending and trend, it's bearish, whether or not it's in bullish or bearish territory. Anytime you're seeing downtrending and trend, it's bullish, whether or not it's in bullish or bearish territory. So you can see today it was pretty crazy. It got above 1, started trending pretty strong. High on the day was 3.04, which is an extremely bearish trend reading. It was real volatile here in this area. Sometimes you can pay attention to trends, sometimes it helps, and sometimes it's just something you want to ignore or just kind of get a feel for the number. Like when it's in this volatile range, you're not going to get a really good feel for consistency or any trending patterns in the major indices. The next thing that I look at here is advancing and declining issues for NYSE. I keep a indicators list over here on the left column of my Thinkorswim desktop application, and here ADVN is the advancing issues for NYSE. Right here at the close was 857, and then right below there we've got declining issues at 2207. So you can immediately say to yourself, okay, what is 857 to 2207? What's the ratio there, advance or decliner ratio? Well, in this case, it's just short of 3 to 1 in favor of decliners. And so decliners are 3 to 1 over advancers, which is obviously bearish. Anytime you have more decliners than advancers, it's going to be a bearish scenario. I also look at the unchanged. Sometimes this unchanged number can be a big number, and you want to keep an eye on where are the unchanged flowing into. Are they flowing into the declining issues, or are they flowing into the advancing issues? So if you have a large unchanged number at the beginning of the session, say 250 or 300, kind of keep track of where those unchanged are flowing into, whether you're seeing additions in advancers or decliners. You're not going to get a 100% feel, but you can get an idea if you're keeping an eye on the pulse there. And I also chart these. You can chart advancers by putting the dollar symbol ADVN. And I only use the intraday charts on these, so this is the 1 day, 1 minute chart. You can see advancers were really flat throughout today's session, but I bet if we go to decliners, we saw some pretty strong uptrending. Yeah, so you can see a really strong start in decliners at the beginning of the session, consistently moving to the upside. It flattened out towards the end of the day, but so did the major indices. So, I chart trend. I keep an eye on the advancers, decliners, and unchanged over in the left column, and I chart advancers and decliners. By the way, the ticker symbol for decliners is dollar symbol DECN. Last thing I do is I have this 4-grid chart of the 4 major indices. Top left, I've got the S&P. Top right, I've got the Dow futures. Bottom right, I've got the NASDAQ 100 futures. And bottom left, I've got the Russell 2000 futures. So, of course, I've got my mid cap on the top left, large cap top right, technology bottom right, and small cap bottom left. This gives you an idea of which indices are showing relative strength, relative weakness. Today we saw relative weakness, although these numbers aren't reflecting accurately. Relative weakness in the small caps in Russell 2000 futures, relative strength throughout the day in tech today, and we were somewhere tied in the middle there between large caps and mid caps. But I like to keep my finger on the pulse of the market via the major indice futures, and you'll see relationships between trend, advancing, declining issues, and these major indices. So by keeping an eye on all that, that whole picture there, you're really keeping your finger on the pulse of the market from an intraday perspective. This doesn't apply anything beyond intraday. But anytime I'm doing an intraday breadth analysis, these are the things I'm referring to. These are the indicators and the charts that I'm looking at. So I just thought I'd give you a visual representation of what I view and how I have my setup here. And if you have any questions, feel free to email nick@tickertank.com or comment on this video.